Welcome back to another Doctor Who product review today, of which is going to be something that I wasn't quite expecting to be reviewing so soon on this channel, and it is the brand new 13th Doctor Series 11 Funko Pop. Now this isn't the version wearing the trench coat that was exclusive, I do believe, to San Diego Comic Con this year. This is in fact the UK release that features the 13th Doctor without her trench coat and is in fact a jacketless version. Now I do believe that this is going to be available from Forbidden Planet stores throughout the UK in the coming weeks. I actually walked into my local retailer just yesterday and seen quite a few of these on the shelves, and I was quite surprised because so far as of yet there isn't in fact anywhere that you can order this online. I think that it is also fair to say that I'm not necessarily the most biggest fan of Doctor Who Funko Pops, or any Funko Pops for that matter. I think that quite often they can be quite cheap, the quality control can slip. However, when it comes to a new incarnation of the Doctor, I kind of can't resist for completist reasons, which means I spent £10.99 on this, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but hey, it's the 13th Doctor, so it's kind of okay. Firstly, taking a look at the packaging, it is pretty much our standard design to usual that we've seen on many Doctor Who Funko Pops in the past. So as you can see at the top, pop television, we get the Doctor Who new logo from Series 11 alongside the number for this release, and then we get an image of the CGI version of the Funko Pop at the side there. On the very bottom, we get 13th Doctor and vinyl figure in several different languages. The overall colour scheme itself has in fact been updated from the previous releases. I do believe the Missy one was a rather dark blue colour. This has now been updated to the standard Series 11 style guide using the blue sort of TARDIS wooden texture at the top along with the orange and yellow at the very bottom. Taking a look at the side of the box, once again similar to usual, pop television logo, image of the Funko Pop itself and the yellow and blue design, and then at the opposite side you do get the window where you can see the figure from the side profile as well, along with 13th Doctor Funko Pop at the side. On the back of the box, once again the brand new design of the blue TARDIS text, and then we do also have the grey at the very bottom, and then we have a few of the also available figures, which to my surprise are in fact the rather old by now previous wave of figures. I do believe that this was the last collective of Funko Pops that we've seen from the Doctor Who line, and I don't know about anybody else, but these haven't been in store for quite a while, so I'm quite shocked to in fact see these on the back of here. I was kind of expecting the new tribute Clara TARDIS and the Missy Funko Pop. But of course at the top of the box, as per usual, just the once again logo and an image of the figure, and then at the bottom we have some company information. So yeah, we do have the window which nicely previews the figure itself, but the actual box is made of a rather weak cardboard, which you do come to expect from this series of figures. Here we have the 13th Doctor Funko Pop out of the box, and it's pretty much the same basic idea to every other Funko Pop on the planet. You've got the giant head with the big eyes, and then you've got the rather small body underneath. Now, due to this being a female character, the body is in fact a lot more slim and petite to the male characters in the series, meaning that the likelihood of it standing up due to the head size is in fact quite slim, meaning that as per usual they do in fact supply a little clear base, which is very handy. It does make the figure actually stand up. However, some of my previous male figures from the Funko Pop series haven't in fact stood up either, so if anything, it would be rather nice just to see this base as a standard thing that is supplied with all figures, because then it actually means that your figures do stand up in the end, which is in fact rather useful for 10 quid, because I do in fact expect my figures to kind of stand up when on display, when unaided. The actual idea of the figure itself is rather nice. Of course, a lot of people will personally prefer the trench coat version because it is the complete version of the 13th Doctor's costume. I don't really mind, I just kind of am glad that I've got a 13th Doctor Funko Pop to add with the other Doctors in my collection. But so now taking a look at the actual costume itself, as it is arguably the main difference for this variant. So this time around we don't in fact have the trench coat. It gives a much nicer look at the jumper and the different items of clothing underneath. So as you can see, you have the navy blue jumper that has been rather nicely printed. There is in fact a few creases and things around the waist, however nothing too prominent or anything like that. And then we do also have the rainbow pattern there, the rainbow stripes nicely printed in the middle also. Now considering that this is a Funko Pop, it has in fact been rather nicely printed on, in fact rather sharp and rather precise. I don't exactly think that the colours are completely accurate. I think if anything it might be a little bit toned down from the actual costume itself, as the costume does look a lot more vibrant. There's of course also stretch stretch around to the sides as well, and then does end just under the arms, much like how the costume does within the TV show itself. Taking a look at the rest of the jumper, we don't really have too much going on. Of course, it does end on the upper arm section, a short sleeve kind of t-shirt jumper piece, and then we do also have the braces in the very middle of the costume itself, which have been painted in, once again, a rather unusual yellow colour. I do really like the connections of the braces there at the very bottom. We do have this triangular section, but nothing really too special. It's just been painted in a darker colour. However, unfortunately, the actual yellow of the braces themselves do seem to be a rather odd sort of murky brown colour. Now, in the TV show itself, these do seem to be rather vibrant and stand out quite a lot. However, on this costume, once again, they do seem to be toned down quite a little bit of a mix-up of the colour palettes on this figure, because this is certainly not how it looks within the TV show itself. It is certainly a lot more toned down. Of course, along the sides of the figure, we do also get the arms as well, which I do believe is the t-shirt underneath the jumper itself. These have just been replicated by using some simple white paint over the sculpt. It's not really too special and rather basic. And then, of course, on the back of the figure, it doesn't really get too much. We just get the back of the jumper, which once again has been painted in a navy bluish colour. And then we do also get the connecting points of the braces as well. Cut the hands and arms of the figure itself. Once again, nothing really too much to talk about. It is a very basic sculpt indeed. However, the fingers and the thumbs have been rather nicely individually sculpted, and then we do also have the skin tone over the top there as well. However, as I say, not really too much to talk about, as it is just quite a basic design. Down to the trousers. Now, once again, these are a rather unusual part of the costume because they are a rather high-rise set of trousers and have been painted in a slightly different shade of blue. So accurate, I do actually think that the colour that they have used on these trousers is in fact a rather good representation of the colour seen within the TV show's costume. Unlike the top of the figure, there does seem to be a rather unusual set of colours. So the sculpting for this is in fact rather basic indeed. We just have the sort of roll-ups of the trousers there at the very bottom, rather basically sculpted, and then we do also have a sculpting line around the waist as well, along with a little suggestion of where the flies will be on the trousers. However, once again, nothing really too much to talk about, just the paint has been nicely applied over the top of this. And finally, to end off the costume, we do of course have the massive walking boots there at the very bottom, which to be honest for a Funko Pop have been rather nicely detailed. So we do have the additions of the laces along the side, along with the general colour app of a rather chocolatey brown colour, along with a darker paint app there at the very bottom to represent the soles of the shoe. Top of the boots do have the addition of the socks that are nicely peeking out there at the very top, which have been painted in a dark blue colour, and then we do also have an exposure of a little bit of leg in there as well. Now moving up to the top of the Funko Pop itself to take a look at the delightful Funko Pop face. As you can see, it looks just like Jodie Whittaker. The actual likeness itself is uncanny. It looks just like her. Oh no, it doesn't. It is of course just a regular Funko Pop face in its normal emotionless manner. So once again, I am in fact rather sort of happy, not exactly impressed, but I'm happy with how this has been painted, because normally with a lot of my Doctor Who Funko Pops in the past, this is where the actual quality control has gone a little bit lackluster, especially around the eyes. I do think they've been rather nicely painted this time round, and the black sort of pupil style of the eyes themselves have been painted onto the actual sculpt, and it doesn't leak or anything like that. Of course, due to her being a woman, she has the eyelashes coming around the side, because hey, all females have eyelashes in Funko Pop world. And then we do also have the eyebrows along the top there as well, which have just been replicated by using a rather sluggish sort of slither of paint in a rather light brown colour. And then of course we have the nose in the very middle and no other emotions whatsoever. So if you're a fan of likenesses of Funko Pops, then you know this is just a regular Funko Pop, looks just like all other 5 billion that they've released. But that said, the good thing is you can kind of tell it's the 13th Doctor due to her being the first female Doctor, and no other Doctors kind of even look vaguely like this. Except maybe Peter Davison, a little bit. The hair of the figure, now rather interestingly, it does actually seem to be that this is a different sculpt from the original trenchcoat version, which I can't exactly compare to directly during this review because the release in the UK was in fact incredibly hard to come by due to it being a Comic-Con exclusive. Thanks Funko, incredibly helpful for that one. But yeah, the sculpt for this does seem to be a little bit more unusual. This time around there isn't kind of the flick of hair coming around on the left hand side, it is a lot more smoother. I do believe that the general colour is probably exactly the same, and I'm guessing that this is kind of the more relaxed version of the 13th Doctor's hairstyle, but I think I like the sculpting of the other Funko Pop hair just a little bit more, but there isn't really too much in it. I don't particularly care either. The actual sculpt itself is once again basic to every other Funko Pop on the planet. You get a rather nice sculpting of the different strands of hair coming around the side, including the flick here. Just have lots of creases coming around the side as well. No other additional paint apps in there, so you don't have any gradients of brown to represent any highlights or anything like that, because of course we don't. It's a Funko Pop. Of course, at the very top we do get the roots of the hair, which would be painted in a different colour if this was a more detailed release. But on the opposite side, due to the hair being tucked behind the actual ear itself, we do get the exposure of the right hand side ear, which has been rather nicely sculpted once again, just your standard basic Funko Pop design. However, this time round they have in fact gone through the effort to paint on the little details of Jodie Whittaker's earring, which is in fact a rather nice little detail that I thought they may have missed out. Now, of course, the moment of truth, does she stand up without her base? Now, I've not actually done this as of yet, so I'm in fact rather interested to see. The base is just your standard clear one as per usual with the little hole in, and here we have Jodie. Please stand up. There we go, that's excellent. I'm guessing what it probably is due to the sculpting of the boots there at the very bottom being a little bit more even compared to the previous Doctor Who releases. Yeah, you don't particularly need to use the base, but to be honest, I just do anyway because it just makes it a little bit more stable. And of course, moving on to articulation as well, we have one piece of articulation and it is the 360 at the head. So yes, very exciting indeed. You can pose her slightly at an angle like that. How diverse, lots of possibility for this figure. I'm sure you'll have endless entertainment for absolutely hours. That is really it for the Doctor Who Series 11 Funko Pop of the 13th Doctor Jacketless variant. Now, to start with, it is good that the UK has in fact got its own release, because a lot of people were quite worried that after a while that we weren't in fact going to get one due to the San Diego Comic-Con version being incredibly hard to come by. So it is nice that the UK kind of has their own variant release. It will be nice to see a trench coat version in the future, simply for those people that want a complete costume version. Maybe a variant including the pink shirt or something like that. No doubt that will probably sell because it is the 13th Doctor, therefore she's relevant in the media, and probably people will want her to add to the collections as well. At the end of the day, I think the Doctors always sell fairly well. As for this actual variant, it is quite nice. I do like the jacketless version of the costume. I think that the colours could be upgraded a little bit more, such as the colours on the braces could be a bit more vibrant, and also the rainbow patterning on the shirt itself does seem to be just a little bit toned down and a little bit odd looking, but generally overall I am in fact rather happy with the quality control. From what I can see, there isn't in fact any paint bleed on this figure, which is a rare occasion where I don't normally have any issues with paint apps when it comes to Funko Pops, because let's face it, they are rather cheaply made. Of course, the actual likeness itself is okay for a Funko Pop. It's got a decent hairstyle. I suppose it is a little bit different, but once again, due to it being a Funko, it's nothing exactly too extravagant or special. If you are somebody that likes Funko Pops, then no doubt this is directly up your street. It is the latest incarnation of the Doctor to add to the collection alongside the other Doctors, but also at the same time, if you're somebody that doesn't particularly like this style, then it's certainly something that is worth kind of missing out on, because you can spend £11 on something probably a little bit better that no doubt you'll like a lot more. Thank you for watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. No doubt there probably won't be many other Funko Pop reviews coming in the future, unless there is any other releases that really grab my attention, because normally I do tend to pick and choose with this line. But other than that, a lot more Doctor Who product reviews coming in the future, along with Doctor Who Series 11 and all the other regular content that I do on this channel as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.